In the 370s Common Era, the ancient world was shaken to its core. The arrival of a single nomadic people on the borders of Europe triggered not just a war, but a chain reaction that erased all frontiers and redrew the map of the known world. They were Huns, a name that became synonymous with primal terror for the Roman Empire. Emerging from the depths of Central Asia, the Huns were a powerful nomadic confederation.
In fact, Huns can present one of the most interesting political paradoxes in European history because Huns Empire had no written laws and no permanent capital. How is this even possible for the state, for the empire at all? Instead of ruling the people through the institutes, Huns Empire ruled with them through the people's loyalty to their leader and military authority.
Terms to both Constantinople and Rome. Today, we will trace the political history of the Huns, from their first clashes on the Don River to the rise and fall of Attila's empire. How was their power constructed, and why was their triumph as sudden as their disappearance? Let's take a closer look. Who were the Huns really? As Otto Menschel-Haufen argues, they were not a single people, but a complex and fluid confederation. While a connection to the Central Asian zone is tempting, he urges caution. Archaeological and linguistic evidence suggests that by the time the Huns reached Europe, they were already a composite group combining Turkic, Mongolic, and possibly Urgic elements. Around 370s Common Era, they crossed the Volga River and crossed the Alans. Socially, the Huns were organized as a rigid military hierarchy. Their economy relied not only on pastoral nomadism, but also on systematic raiding and the extraction of tribute. Before Attila, the Huns were far from united. We hear of figures such as Balamber, remembered for his victories over the gods, and Rua, also known as Rugila, who in the 430s began transforming a loose alliance into a centralized power. The true turning point came in 434 with the rise of Attila. His court in Pannonia became a major diplomatic hub of the late Roman world. Attila was more than a war leader. He was a master strategist. Under the Treaty of Anatolius in 447, the Eastern Roman Empire was forced to pay him an annual tribute of 2,100 pounds of gold. Roman wealth quite literally became the fuel of Hunnic expansion. The Hunnic state rested on personal authority and fear. There were no written laws, but there was a strict chain of command, the supreme ruler and his elite circle, the Logates. Foreign policy was built on calculated intimidation. Menschenhaufen notes that the Huns skillfully exploited Roman internal conflicts, appearing at times as allies of the Western Empire against the gods, and at others as its most dangerous enemies. The title Scourge of God, Flagellum Dei, reflected not only their brutality, but also a Roman belief that the Huns represented a force beyond the control of any conventional army. In the 440s, Attila's campaigns devastated the Balkans. The defining moment, however, came in 451 at the Battle of Catalonian Plains in Gaul, a true clash of worlds. On one side stood Attila and his vassals, on the other a Roman-led coalition under Aetius, joined by the Visigoths. Although the battle ended without a clear victor, it halted Attila's advance into Western Europe. But after meeting Pope Leo I and facing disease within his army, he withdrew. In 453, Attila died suddenly on his wedding night, leaving his empire leaderless. Attila's death immediately exposed the core weaknesses of his empire: the absence of a clear system of succession. His sons turned on one another, and Germanic tribes seized the opportunity. In 454, at the Battle of Nidau River, Gepids inflicted a decisive defeat on the Huns. The empire fragmented into smaller groups that soon dissolved among the people of the Black Sea region. The Huns vanished almost as quickly as they had appeared, leaving behind legends and Europe permanently reshaped by their arrival.